Right then, with just about 5 minutes of practice remaining. Hello, good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to round 1 of season 11 of RP Series, Racing Pals GT3 Sprint Series in Assetto Corsa Competizione. As we watch Pierre Moreno, a driver usually seen in a Porsche 911, but in this series has taken himself over to a very lovely Aston Martin Honda livery, which looks absolutely gorgeous now that I can actually say it. And I think we're looking forward to a very, very good and hopefully a very, very competitive season ahead with our 3 main classes of car. I'm going to try something because since the Nordschleifer update, which we will touch on a little bit in a minute, I'm sure, when we go a quick run through this season. But as with the Nordschleifer update, for some reason, tabbing out of ACC seems to cause my frames to go from regular full frames to a little bit less. Shouldn't have too much of an impact. I want to see if the anyone who's heard me. By the way, I'm your commentator, James Andrews. I forgot to introduce myself, and I will be commentating today as our series commentators. It will be Husky and Jack from 2 weeks' time onwards are unable to do today. I will be racing then. But anyone who knows me knows that I have a long-standing rivalry with the Autocam on ACC. I'm turning it on for now because I want to see what it can do. And I'm also going to turn the timing tower on. There we go. I remember how to do these things. So, as I said, this is RP Series Season 11, starting here at Suzuka. For anyone joining us for the first time, RP Series, as I have mentioned, is a GT3 Sprint Series in Assetto Corsa Competizione. This series runs for 6 races over 12 weeks thereabouts, once every 2 weeks, and races will last regularly around 60 minutes, a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on the format on the day. We have variable formats of pit stop requirements, sometimes requiring refueling, sometimes requiring tyre change. For today, we simply require all drivers in the 60-minute race to make at least 1 stop for a change of tyres. The exception to this season will be at round 5, we are going to the Nordschleifer for a 90-minute race around the Green Hell, following on from last week's endurance race there, which saw us have around 70 drivers to 80 drivers at the start. You see Ivan Yuk go a little bit possibly too wide there. I think he invalidated. Actually, it was an outlap though, by the looks of it anyway, so it was already invalidated. But we shall be going to the Nordschleifer, and I'm quite looking forward to that myself, and certainly a good season ahead of us. Ooh, as Paul Glover spins it, looks like the middle of the S's, or near the end of the S's, returns to pit lane, and we see then Daniel Scott in the Rocky Blue Racing car. At least that's what it's entitled. He spins himself, he goes a little bit too hot into Degner 1, and ends up in the gravel. He was driving a very nice chrome and orange wheeled Lamborghini Evo 2. So, as I'm just checking, like I say, round 1 obviously here today is Suzuka. They will then go in 2 weeks' time to Spa-Francorchamps, and then to Imola on the 26th of May, followed by Kyalami on the 9th of June. Then, as I mentioned, the 5th round will be the Nordschleife special event race on the 23rd of June, which will be 90 minutes and have extra points available for all drivers competing. And the season finale on the 7th of July will take place at the Red Bull Ring. I'm sure I will mention this again later on after the race today when I do a little bit of promo at the end that we always have to do. We see Justin Gottlieb, and free practice is now officially ended, just waiting for those last 5 cars, actually maybe 7 cars, sorry, I've got those 2 in the first sector, including Robin Moe in the number 3 car, to cross the line as Gottlieb is there, pushing the limits in the very traditionally Vassar Sullivan Sealmaster Lexus in its lovely gold and black honeycomb livery. I think that was a little purposeful, trying to crash into the wall there. So, as we get back into the swing of sprint racing and sprint streaming, if you are again new to this series, all of our drivers have been sorted, or at least will be sorted, into 3 classes. These classes are AM, Silver and Pro. Pro being the white number boards on the left-hand side timing tower. I believe actually the driver we're watching, Marco Zachary, is listed as amateur for some reason, the red marker board. But sadly, not sadly, but it's actually a pro driver who has been accidentally sorted into the red class, but his results will count towards the pro standings. And this is just a way for us to make sure that everybody has a good chance to compete no matter what their pace is. We've got the faster to the aliens competing in pro, the middle ground people, which myself included from next week onwards, competing in silver, or 2 weeks time onwards, sorry. And the AM drivers, some of whom will be new to the game, some of whom will be more relaxed and chilled drivers competing in their own class as well. Right, I'm going to turn the auto cam off for a second. We're going to look who is the first person out. It's not this driver. It is Christian Lucht, as we've seen, no big deal, Porsche. Another driver we are used to seeing in this particular car, this is where my memory goes. Once again, bringing in a nice blue and tiger striped black livery to the field with the Racing Pals logo on the back quarter panel. So it'll be interesting to see as all car 25 cars on track today, I believe out of a total of around 31 competing, currently signed up for the series overall, takes track, and the track is absolutely full of cars, as you can see on the minimap, as Chris comes to take the first flying lap of the session and of Series 11. Try and switch to make sure I can see what the drivers are doing in terms of lap time on race control, as Chris has now started his first flying lap. Some cars behind already blue flagged, possibly having gone a little bit wide at turn 1, a very challenging fast corner. Requires constant slowing to try and hit the apex at the end of it, a very late apex, to get a good run down to the S's. It's very easy if you send it in too hard to go a little bit wide and invalidate your lap. I always find qualifying is one of those really hard parts to actually comment on. the race is easy because, you know, things are happening, things are going on. In qualifying, especially for this opening lap, kind of just waiting for people to put their lap times in. I'm not sure what they're doing at the moment. The race control hasn't yet updated me. In fact, it seems to think that Chris here is on a 22-minute lap time, which I'm almost certain is not the case. But you see there, right behind Chris, actually, right now, is Martin Kovac, the Hungarian driver, who will be looking to take pole position. He was very high up there. I believe it was P1 at the end of practice. Certainly one of the quicker drivers looking to cement, I believe, the reigning champion as well, looking to cement that lead in that position as Chris lets him go. Maybe did not have a lap that he thought was comfortable, did not want to get stuck behind him on another lap, but did that in any way impede Martin's lap? We don't know yet as he comes to cross the line. It will be in the 50s. It's a 59.276 as the drivers start to put in laps behind them. H. Horman there, P2. No, make that T-Stalk, P2. Well, 1.168 seconds behind Kovac. At the moment, Martin is the only driver in that top grouping, the 59s in sub 2 minutes. I know, however, there should be a 58, if not a 57, somewhere in here before the race is over. We'll look at another driver we haven't seen for a little while, in the Porsche as well, a car I've never seen him in before. Kyle Cook back with Bologna Racing, and yes, that is how he pronounces it, so that's how I'll pronounce it for now, as sacrilege as it is. Currently sitting down in P22, but has not yet set a valid lap time, which I'll be interested to see what a returning RP, a member of the RP staff and a returning Racing Pals driver for many years now can do back in ACC. I think that was a cut, and too much of a cut. One of the easy places to do it on this track. Degner 1, certainly the shallow angle and the speed you need to take through there can lead to a very easy track cut. And a very easy requirement to do another lap, another half a lap to start a proper flying lap. And with only 15 minutes in this qualifying session, we already have only 9 minutes left to go, 6 minutes down. Cinch here, Kyle Cook is going to need to get a move on. But another driver which hasn't actually yet set a lap time is this man here, Pierre Moreno, in the Aston Martin Honda. I said it right this time. Currently coming up to Spoon. Now this will be an interesting case to see what Darkius, our dear director Pierre Moreno, can do in the Aston Martin, a car again, like I say, he's not regularly seen in, as he is following the rear of the other Lexus, that Lexus driven by Justin Gottlieb. As he comes through the Casio Triangle, around the final turn, which I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, is its actual name. Line comes up a little late in the F1 timing line, this line here, and it's P3 for Pierre Moreno with a 1:59.9. That wasn't the best place to stop, I don't think. I was a bit concerned there. Meanwhile, P2 has been taken by this man here, like I say, boarded, red boarded, which means he is currently on the server at least, considered to be a bronze driver. However, he is actually a platinum driver and will be recorded as such in the scoring, and certainly is proving it now. H. Horman in 4th, I believe, is another driver. I'm getting a quick look. Who I haven't seen around before. H.O. Horman, but I think maybe a driver who had not submitted lap times before this race started, or before the race event cut off. Essentially, in order to ensure that we have the three classes be as they should, as much as possible, we ask every driver to submit a set of lap times from their race stats as he backs off there from the car ahead. I'm not quite sure who that was ahead. Have a quick check. I think that's P. Glover. It is Paul Glover. in the ACCSS Lives On car. That's a mouthful of an acronym. But I believe that this may be one of the drivers who has not yet submitted a lap time, and so was classified as bronze as we used to do it. He may be in the unclassified category and will be classified, I'm sure, at the end of this race. And looking at the moment, well, Platinum looks like it might be the right place for them. Another returning driver I want to just have a quick look at, and I say that as I see one of Thomas Jack's famous liveries. I'm not sure if I want to look at it for much longer. Always strive and prosper. Okay, that said something much nicer than I thought it was going to say on the side of there. Usually different things are painted on the side of Thomas Jack's cars. But surprisingly, currently sitting down in 13th place is the number 13 car. You'd expect that Thomas Jack certainly is one of those drivers who should be able to pick up the pace before the end of this qualifying session. The next 5.5 minutes. But at the moment, P13 is where he is. Let's have a look. He is currently up on his time, minus 1.29 on the Delta, make that 1.3 now fully. So I think he's definitely going to put himself up the order by a good second and a bit. It's coming up to a second and a half now, which might just put him into the 59s if he can continue to improve through 130R and through the Casio Triangle. But at the moment, he's looking at possible only about a P4 or a P5 at his current rate of improvement, but he gets he hits that first part of the Casio Triangle very hard. He doesn't lose much time, but he's going to be 1.4 up. I think that would be enough for him to be P5 just. He crossed the line. No, that's P6, still behind Trash Stalk by only 37 hundredths of a second. I think that's correct. If it's not, you know what I mean. A 1.26 positive on the Delta to Martin Kovac to the Storks 1.230. And certainly going to need Thomas Jack to put in another lap, as he almost certainly, he's already 1.15, not 1.5, that would be quite impressive, up on the Delta right now. Maybe this lap he can put together something a little bit better, get himself up into those top spots. Let's have a look down here. Another person, currently class as pro, but currently sitting P22, 6 seconds off the pace. It might be again that they are an unclassified driver that needs to be adjusted, as the part of the first race situation is we do have drivers we may need to adjust still. There's a really yellow flag for this man here, Greg Arends, an Antwerp Racing McLaren, going very slowly towards the end of the lap, possibly waiting for some cars to get past. Yep, if he keeps going, it looked like he'd run out of fuel, but obviously that would just be a return to garage in ACC. And he gets back on the way to start a lap, the number 33 car in a very striking red default McLaren livery. See him following the Ferrari ahead, which is driven by... I'm not sure he's driven by because someone's in between them. It's driven by Miguel. Miguel Cook is here again. I believe we've had him with us before. Yeah, there's Miguel. What am I about? Why do I think we've had him before? Miguel, famous ACC driver, recently AC1 driver, recently more transferred. There's a crash behind. Who is that? That's Aarons again, into the wall that time. And he will return to pit lane. Currently looking P2 to last if Carl Cook and Miguel Cook can get a move on and get a lap in before the end of this race. But like I was saying, Miguel here, The Portuguese driver, very familiar to us at Racing Pals for driving in Assetto Corsa, the original Assetto Corsa that is. He gets a little bit squirrely out to Degner 2 and loses some time coming up to the hairpin. The lap is already invalid, so he hasn't necessarily done himself any major damage, but with a minute and a half, he'll only have one more lap to do after this one. You better get a move on to get there in time. I think he definitely will at this point of the lap. But yes, Miguel recently transferred to ACC, can be very quick in AC, and given some time and some experience in a different sim, certainly, I think, will be up to silver and up to maybe even pro before we know it. But for now, still finding his feet a little bit in the Competizione world. Let's have a little look. William Giovannini, number 28 BMW Vesta Sport. Italian flagged driver, the Italian flagged car at least. 0.55 off of Kovac at the moment, as Pierre Moreno has actually managed to go P2 again, reclaiming that position. That means that there are now Kovac is the only driver, sorry, in the 58s. Pierre Moreno just still in the 59s. But Giovannini has a 0.28 advantage on the delta this lap around. It won't be enough unless he can pull something in the triangle. Let's keep an eye on this. 0.3, 0.4. It's certainly gaining a little bit deep into the first part, and I think that's compromised his second, and he's losing the time. That is unfortunate. I was very much hoping seeing that gain on the delta, but he will increase his time, and that might be useful to protecting that P3 start from drivers behind him. As we see, cars come to the end of the lap. Thomas Jack then, currently still P7 in the Mercedes, has more recently started a lap, so I might go off of him to look at someone close to the end. It is up on his lap time, but it's still a second. 0.2 off as he goes very wide at the exit of Degner 2. Daniel Scott almost following him out there. And that means that Thomas Jack will start P7 at the minimum. Daniel Scott, meanwhile, like I said, on a lap. Still clean, but not quite green on the delta. Kovac, meanwhile, is putting in a better lap time of his own, but at the moment he's fighting against essentially no one. Horman is on a lap still, but he has just exited 130R and is coming up to Casio Triangle, and his delta is essentially neutral. He is essentially on the same lap time as he was, and managed to gain a little bit by clattering that curb at the Casio, but it's 0.000 again. He's going to not change his lap time at all. And that's going to be securing P1 pole position for this man here, Martin Kovac, who's not only going to come in, he's going to beat his lap time, but at some point since I last looked at him, it was invalidated. But even when it was valid, it was a good several tenths up. So there we have. If I can just return to the garage before we hit drive. Something going on in the chat. Thomas Jack decrying corruption, but that's a Tom Jack thing. Your starting grid then is Martin Kovac, followed by Pierre Moreno, Giovannini, and Zachary and Horman. 3 new drivers. 3 drivers we have not before seen in Racing Pals, putting themselves 3, 4, and 5, and looking to battle with the long-standing drivers, the veterans of Racing Pals, and maybe even beat them to win the race. Then we've got Tristan Stork in a hashtag Hymo Aston Martin. I can't quite see because he's obviously behind the other cars. Let's go back to that side of the grid. Much better view. After Stork then, Thomas Jack, like we said, only managed to take P7, having almost improved on his lap time and losing it at Degner 2. A better start he would have wanted. After him then is the first of the currently silver-marked drivers of Ivanhoe, then followed immediately by Jürgen Zuschleusen And then Christian looked the 158 Pro driver, who certainly has had the pace, I think, to be a pro driver in the past, and will probably stay there, and we'll certainly see in the race if he can improve on his current position. But he's currently sitting in 10th place. Then Vessels, Pagani, Glover, Jennings, and Lautaro, P11 through 15. Lautaro also platinum mark driver, maybe unclassified. Pagani, meanwhile, a bronze mark driver. I think certainly after this race, maybe looking to be promoted into silver. Then Daniel Scott will start P16 in the 128 Lamborghini, followed by Burks in the 85. The P17 85 BMW. Frederick Schublem then has moved from his traditional Bentley to a Honda, the 951 car as per usual, currently P18, certainly looking to be the upper portion of the upper bronzes. Ian Demler then followed by Justin Gottlieb round out P19 and P20. Ronda, like the valley itself, Gareth Ronda in P21, driving one of our 3 Lexi here today, and I can say that now because someone actually said that in the Imola broadcast for the 6 hours at WEC. Then Dennis Goto in the another ACC SS car, that is still a mouthful of acronym, in the number 100 Bentley, starting P22, followed by Aarons in P23. Robin Moe, meanwhile, I'm not quite sure what happened to him in qualifying. Maybe he just didn't qualify, but currently sitting in P24. Certainly a driver who will, at some point in this series, be competing for wins, I believe, if his track record is anything to go by, starting further down the order than you might expect from him. As the cars begin their march to the grid, we can then have a better look at some of the cars getting underway. Carl Cook we have already seen, Miguel Koch, and then Torn Nicholas van Galuba rounds out P27 in the McLaren racing car, which is a traditional base livery, beautiful nonetheless. All eyes on these 2 here, I think, and the 3 behind them, certainly, as to who will end up ahead down into turn 1, turn 2, and the S's, more importantly. Useful to remember that as P1, Martin will get the inside line down into the first turn, but if someone can hold on and stick it around the outside, then that certainly comes an inside line for the first of the S's section. And certainly looks to possibly take the race lead very, very early on, and Pierre Moreno will certainly be hoping that he can do that. I do like these 2 Vesta Sport, yep, that's correct, I don't know why I thought it was wrong. Liveries of the 2 BMW's teammates, Marco Zachary and Giovannini. Followed very shortly, as we mentioned, by the QRT esports drivers, Hadjo Horman. And, you know, whilst I'm here, I may as well give a shout out to QRT, who, as you may remember, when we did our 4 hours of Nordschleife race, if you were here last Saturday, Kunos decided to put their servers down. And if you know anything about ACC, you know that you can't use the server browser if their servers are down. And we couldn't personally do any sort of direct connection due to the way our servers are being run. And QRT very, very kindly stepped in and assisted us with one of their servers that they could do it on. We got a good race going there in the end, even if it was a little bit exhausting for us in the steward's room, especially with all the lap 1 incidents. But that was a very nice event and very good of them to help out their fellow community like that, and very good of them to bring such a lovely looking livery to this race today. Right. See if we can get a helicam view as we go side by side to start this race. We come up to the Yokohama Bridge and enter the triangle for the, I guess, negative first time, if you consider it, in the race session. But they're coming to get ready to start their opening lap. Certainly better watch out for any instance going into turn 1. But I do want to see whether we'll have any incident or anything happening between these 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 even cars, who all I think will be competing to take P1 by the end of this first lap. As Martin Kovac pulls away, green lights on the board, gets a really commanding start, absolutely jumped it. No chance then for Darkius to try and make his way around the outside. I see no yellow flags on the board. Everyone's made it through very nicely. There is a slow car, however, towards the back. I think that's G. Arendt. I'm not sure what's happened to him. He's pulling over. I think he might have had a technical issue with his car. I think he's got no steering. His wheel is disconnected. Something has gone wrong there. I think he needs to pull over and return and try and unplug and replug his wheel, as he has had a very unfortunate technical issue at the start of this race. And he has retired the car, understandably so. Thankfully, whilst we were looking at that, no change in the leadership. We still have Kovac followed by Moreno, followed by Giovannini and Zachary, but where is our friend from QRT? I have no idea where he has dropped to. No, Horman has been beaten out then. Sorry, I can see him now. Horman has been beaten out by Tristan Stork at some point on the opening lap. Stork in the Aston Martin takes the position of P5 from the Ferrari. Gaps are still side by side then, almost. Thomas Jack having a look to the inside into 130R, thinking better of it and pulling back. As they come up to the Casio Triangle, there's a big... Oh, there's a shunt, I think, there between him and the QRT car. And that could be a penalty post-race for Thomas Jack. QRT car making a reasonable entry back onto the track. Tom only just getting away, having to wait for a better opportunity to rejoin the track, and that is going to put him further down the order. That was a big move that did not work out, possibly just out-braking himself for Thomas Jack. Now, Mattia Lautaro, a nice Skechers Team WRT default livery for him, sitting in P12. I don't know what is going on here. I just clicked on a name to see what's going on down the order. The gaps are still very, very close. Keep an eye if anyone makes any sorts of moves. I think once a close gap behind, as it is Robin Moe trying to take the position then from Lautaro to take P12. And Robin Moe certainly moved his way up through the order. Currently 10 places from the race start, which should have been expected given he was well behind where he should be on the race start. Robin Moe makes a look to the inside into the hairpin and makes the move. And that's him up to P12. Thomas Jack, meanwhile, also having to fight after losing that position through a central murder. However, there's a P21. For some reason, I cannot see that on my timing tower. I think it's Arenz. No, it's not. Arenz is back on the server and in the pit lane, and he's going to get going and finish this race. Glad to see him back after those technical issues at the start. I cannot for the life of me see who this P21 is. Actually, it must be this man here, Nicholas van Geluwe, as he's back of the grid. I don't see a contact, so we can't see what happened there, which is unfortunate. Van Glua down to P20. Carl Cook, meanwhile, Hadjo Horman, there's a big incident going on up at the Casio Triangle, and Thomas Jack has hit Justin Gottlieb. Gottlieb had nowhere to go. The QRT car was in the way, and Thomas Jack is spinning out of control at the Triangle for the second lap in a row. The ASAP Mercedes driver, the P13 car, is not going to be very happy with whatever happened there. Let's see if I can actually have a look at what happened. I'm going to see from the perspective of Carl Cook. I do hope. No, I can't. Carl Cook comes back on the track. You can see this at least. Gottlieb thought he was well underway. Maybe there was a little bit more room, but Thomas Jack was slightly rejoining. And that's just an incident that was waiting to happen. I'm not quite sure what happened on the whole of it. I'm going to see if I can see. There is a contact between Gottlieb. There is an earlier contact between the 128 car of Daniel Scott and the 318 car. Seems to have been involved in all of these contacts. Let's have a quick look. So this is it, coming up into his 318 and the 128. The 128, Daniel Scott outbrakes himself. The same thing to the same car, 2 laps in a row with a different driver responsible. First it was Thomas Jack, lap 1, and Daniel Scott, lap 2. And Hadjo Horman will certainly be deserving of a great many penalties given to his competitors at the end of this race. That is poor form from both Daniel Scott and Thomas Jack. Again, that was it. That's the hard braking zone. Certainly races in real life I've seen ends there. I was worried about turn 1. I was worried about turn 1. I was worried about it happening again, Prost and Senna. Instead, I should have been worried about the Casio Triangle. It happening again, Prost and Senna. 2 laps in a row, 2 years in a row. It all rhymes. It's like poetry. Meanwhile, the race for P1 certainly cooling down as Kovac has managed to pull a lead of about 0.7 seconds off of Pierre Moreno. Meanwhile, this man here, Matthew Lautaro, is going to take Paul Glover into turn 1. That was a nice move, well alongside. Can Glover fight back? I don't think so. The Skechers car just ahead. It will stay ahead for the foreseeable future. While Horman is in the pit lane, maybe an early repair to get out and just get going in clean air. Repair his damage, take the tyres. You can complete the race on the current set, on the current fuel. Just get out there and get the laps together and try and gain some spots from the inevitable death and other issues that will plague everyone else. As, speaking of which, Gottlieb up. Getting slightly in the grass there, out of the S's. To Degler 1. Husky's in the chat. Maybe Husky can remind me. I can't actually remember what that corner's called on the exit of the S's. I think it's an R corner, but I can't remember what the R number is. I do love their radius named corners here. We got them through the hairpin, then comes up to, I think it's like 100R or something like that. Meanwhile, Cheba, as we said, taking the Honda this season, a car which I don't think I've seen him drive before, a car which I've seen very few people drive before. A notoriously difficult thing, and he is currently on the chase of Daniel Scott, but being immediately chased himself by Pagani and Cook behind. And themselves looking to have a right little race going on. Daniel moves to the outside, but he gets on the grass into 130R. I think that might send him a little wide, but he keeps hold of it. Meanwhile, Pagani making a dive up the inside, and it's paid off, and Cheba has nothing to say about that. That's a beautiful move from Guilherme Pagani in the Aston Martin 444 car. Now, can the Honda use its pace to get back at him? He gets the inside to defend. But no, the Honda has not got the pace, but he, late on the brakes, fails to make the maneuver. Cinch, that was the most opportunistic dive I've ever seen anyone make, considering the car wasn't fully under its own control. Guilherme stays ahead, but Carl Cook gets ahead of him, and a possible penalty incoming post-race for the car of Sherblum, who's now having to fight off Ian Demler in the 913 McLaren. And that's just going to benefit Daniel Scott, who remains P16. And threat behind reduced to 1.5 seconds. It's now Kyle Cook. It was a very lovely move, I still have to say so, by Pagani on Chublam. And unfortunate that Cheba just couldn't get it under braking into turn 1. Thankfully, both cars still underway. Kyle Cook here, beneficiary overall. Having a quick look, Hadrick Horman thankfully still with us. I'm glad that he is. P24, Thomas Jacklow, has pitted early once again, I assume to repair for damage like the car ahead of him, and to try and run a clean race for the next 50 minutes. As the 951 car, that's Cheba again. That is Frederick Sherblum out at Spoon. Has there been a contact? Yes, I think. No, there hasn't. Let me have a look. What happened here? So, coming through the 100 or whatever it's called, R, one of the R's, and into the famous Spoon corner, he just loses it. And like I said, the Honda, a famously twitchy, nervous car, and just oversteers off of the track. Miguel Koch, meanwhile, let's have a quick look at him. Up to P20, and very, very close behind Ian Demler now. Two cars certainly would have benefited by Sherblum's spin. I think there were two of the cars that went past before he recovered. As the plain white Ferrari follows a very nice Martini livery McLaren there. Car Space Martini Racing. But Miguel seems to be dropping off a little bit through the S's. We'll have to see, can the Portuguese driver do anything to eat into this tiny little bit of lead? You see behind there, I think that's Justin Gottlieb going very, very deep. No, sorry, it was Goto in the Bentley. Gottlieb is the car immediately behind Miguel here. Gap has tightened up considerably. Miguel now into the R corner, though I cannot remember the number of. But there's Gottlieb. Gottlieb is threatening. Miguel makes a move out of turn and makes it not, and doesn't make it stick. Well, that'll be Gottlieb then taking the position from him, but Gottlieb backs off into the entry of Spoon. Probably be hoping to use the exit and the power of that Lexus, which is inconsiderable. And that is Miguel using the Ferrari's pace over the McLaren. I think Demler a little bit wide on the exit of 130R, and that's going to leave Gottlieb having a nice little look, but I don't think he's about making that yet. Maybe into turn 1. And to Garrett Gibson in the chat, yes, this is Assetto Corsa Competizione. They're side by side. They were side by side. Gottlieb well ahead by the time they get into first turn, and unlike the last time we saw this, staying ahead. Possible off-track there, but definite off-track from Miguel Koch as slightly too far over comes Ian Demler. Touch, they get a little bit on the quarter panel of the McLaren. Oh, as Demler is now off the track again into the S's. And that's allowed the Bentley of Goto to make its way ahead of Miguel Koch. And Gottlieb coming out ahead. As just now seeing into the hairpin, Robin Moe has just made a great looking move at the end there on Wessels and on the Lautaro Skechers BMW. And it realized Leon Wessels, another QRT esports driver. One of our friends over at QRT, all the Skechers car to back out. Robin getting a little bit loose there in the middle of Spoon. QRT car looking a nice little look. And you see Chris Luke also trying to make something of the opportunities that might arise here. It's not the first time we've seen multiple cars battling for position and seen them then take the advantage of two others coming colliding with each other or just getting off track, as we see Robin Moe do very much so there. Possible warning there. Dives up the inside, they come together. I think that's just racing at that point, a little bit of rubbing, but the QRT car ahead. Again, another little touch from the quarter panel. There's so many of those with Luke and Lautaro there behind. Again, no one majorly hurt from that. Only a few bruised egos, a few lost deltas. Go ahead as Robin Moe looking to make a move on Ivanchuk in the Aston Martin. Slow cars behind. 36 of Gottlieb, very slow. What has happened here? Looks like a lot of steering damage. Is there a possible incident? Yes, there is. Cheba and Gottlieb both. Let's have a look what happened. Oh, looks like a spin, the Ferrari off, and then Cheba plows into Gottlieb. Nothing Gottlieb could do there. Both of them come into the pit lane. I think everyone's a little bit rusty in ACC right now. To see Carl Cook and Pagani battling for P17. But these two in different classes. It will depend on whether Pagani stays in AM or gets moved off to silver as to the impact this will have on the race whole. Lautaro still battling with Wessels. Ivanchuk, Lukt and Glover all within 1 second of one another. Not 1 second between all of them, but 1 second of the car ahead and behind are they. Any moment, any lapse, any incident here will be massively chaotic or beneficial to those around them. Looking to make a move, maybe. Does he have the pace against the Aston Martin? Sorry, not the Aston Martin, it's a Bentley. I saw wings and I assumed, even though it is more of a boat, but no, not enough into turn one. QRT car stays ahead. Make mention, Robin Moe, who started this race at P27 or P26 or 5, I think. Double check in a minute. Currently up to P7, and now making gains on the current net silver leader, Jürgen Züstreisen. Again, we'll have to see who gets moved up and who gets moved down in terms of classes after this, the first race of the season, to stabilise the order for the next 5 races. 0.2 seconds now between him and the Bentley. Bentley basically sniffing the rear of the Aston Martin ahead, but can't make a move in the middle of the hairpin. Had to drop off a little. Have a focus there and on Wessels. Beautiful QRT livery. Oh, as it's a... Yep, another little collision between QRT and the BMW. Again, both of them keep going. And this racing has certainly not been a non-contact sport thus far between a number of these cars. Into 130R then, the BMW has a snifter up the inside, but decides better of it. Now into the Casio Triangle, makes a dive. QRT car do the switchback against the BMW. There's not enough room for 2 cars in one spot. And now it's Chris Luke looking right at the rear of the Bentley. They come down the long main straight at Suzuka. Chris again looks to the inside, but the Bentley has just got the power of the Porsche any day of the week. And Chris has to back off, and again it will be Bentley versus BMW for the foreseeable lap. Behind, meanwhile, let's have a look here. Kyle Cook Pagani, and Ronda, all fighting 3 separate cars, fighting for P15. Again, that Aston absolutely right up the rear end of the Lexus. Carl looking to the outside in the S's, trying to maybe pull a different maneuver, or maybe just go deep. I do not know. Either way, Denver 13.7 seconds behind. Effectively the last major fight on the field at the moment. See, the Lexus managed to pull away a little bit, but a little bit deep into the hairpin allows the Aston right back on them. Justin Gottlieb in the chat. Justin, aren't you meant to be driving right now? Justin Gottlieb currently P36 in the pit lane. Possibly retired. Possibly just repairing damage. Justin, if you're retired, you want to come to the interview waiting room? We can have a quick mid-race interview. We haven't actually done that before. Oh, as we see Guillaume go very wide of the 130R, have to collect the car, but still the order remains the same. Oh yes, I just remember exactly what happened to you, Gottlieb. That was a very unfortunate. I didn't catch the beginning of it, so it'd be nice to get your opinion. Get what actually happened that caused you to be sitting in the middle of the track when Cheva came up to you, as contact between Kyle Cook and Guillaume Pagani. Pagani goes very wide then on the exit, and I don't know if Central will give that place back. And whilst we see Chris Luke and these 4, 5, 6 cars still fighting in very close proximity, let's have a quick conversation with Justin Gottlieb. A mid-race interview in an RB Series race. Oh, as we see contact into the hairpin, Chris Luke pushing his way through. He's going to gain that place. Thomas Jacklin returns to pit lane. I don't know what just happened to him. I don't see any contacts on the board. Certainly, drivers have been having some issues today. Let's have a quick then talk, now that I can, to Justin Gottlieb. Hello, Justin.
Hello. Yes, I'm here. How you doing?
Good, good. How are you, other than DNFing?
Well, the reason why I'm DNFing because I glanced at my phone and lost control. Something you shouldn't do in real life or in sim racing. And I lost control, so I held my brakes on the back straight, and I got hit twice, and I had 3 minutes worth of damage. So, with that being said, with that much time being sitting in the pit, I'll be down at least 2 laps at the least. So, I didn't see the need to continue on.
That's certainly unfortunate. How was the race for you before then, though? You had a good little bit of battling going on at times, I did notice, as everyone seems to have been.
Yeah, unfortunately, Suzuka is not my strong track. I'm not real strong on Suzuka, but I don't hate the track. But I did have a couple battles. I wasn't getting frustrated. I was just trying to figure out how to get past these people. So I was waiting for a mistake to happen, which I was able to capitalize on. But as soon as I made that overtake, I got distracted and lost control. So. I wish I could continue on because I was trying to gain on the other Lexus that's in there. Not Kovacs, is the other driver. I think it's Frederick. I was trying to
Cheblam, yes. Cheblam.
Yes. So my thing was to try to catch up with him to have a nice, Lexus on Lexus battle, because it's something I really don't see in the league as much. But I'm glad to see there's more than one Lexus in the league this year.
As we just watched on the stream, Kyle Cook going off track, and the exit is getting passed by 2 cars, I think, in one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm watching the stream. It's a pretty good. First of all, I want to say you're doing a good job commentating and presenting the stream real well. But yeah, I want to be in these battles, man. I'm watching them right now.
Well,
But
2 weeks away, Spa, Francorchamps. How do you think you'll do there? How will the Lexus fare? Hoping for a better luck.
Spa's another track I'm really not fond on, primarily because pub servers just kind of pitted bad taste in my mouth because of it. I like the track. I think I do pretty good. I just need to maybe dial in my setup just a little bit so I can take a Rouge how I normally would take it. But I think I do a better. I think I have a better chance on that track. That track I know it pretty well, so I think I'll be okay. I won't be as fast as Kovacs, but I might be able to just get. I'm aiming for top 10 in my position, so if I can get that, I think I'll be okay.
Well, good luck to you out there. I'll be out there next time, so actually, no, not good luck to you because I'll also be in your class fighting you. But
nice.
Little bit of advice: turn your phone off.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
You're the second person in RP in a week, basically, to get distracted looking at something else and crash because Tom did it at Nords as well.
Oh man, and the thing is, it was a Twitch notification. That's all it was. It wasn't even like a phone call or a text message. Yeah, I know. Of all things that really kind of don't matter, So yeah, you're right. I'll take your advice for sure. I'll come and race and be able to just be zeroed in on the race itself. So.
All right. Well, I will see you out there in 2 weeks' time. And thank you for joining me for the first mid-race interview I think we've ever actually had in RP series.
Cool. You have a good one.
You too. Cheers. And that was Justin Gottlieb, who has sadly DNF'd from this race after losing concentration, spinning out, and then getting slammed into by the 951 car of Frederick Schublem. Oh, and speaking of getting slammed into, Guillaume Pagani right into the rear of Gareth Ronda. Ronda racing Lexus number 23 car into the dirt at Degner 2. Thankfully, not a collision with the wall, nothing too major, and I think that place is being given back. No, it's not. That's Spangaluva in the 21 McLaren. I assumed that was going to be the place being given back by Guillaume, but sadly not. Meanwhile, we saw as well that the race leader, Martin Kovac, has been able to lap multiple cars at this point, including the Frederick Schublem car 951 Honda that we saw him getting past whilst we were talking to Justin. So gaps are starting to spread out a little bit. However, Leon Vessels in the QRT Bentley looking still to make a move on the Lataro BMW. Oh, as Lataro goes very wide in the middle of the S's, and that has allowed Leon, the little twitch from Leon, again, is going to try and come back. They're going to be fighting right up to this corner that I can still not remember the name of. And that's allowing Chris Luke to now look to the outside. I don't think he'll have the ability to take the Bentley into Degner 1. Certainly looks to back off a little bit. And the order there remains the same as it seems to have been generally for the last 6-7 laps now. Kovac on lap 13, coming to complete it. We have 32 minutes left in this race. Now you can see on the timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen the little number 1, white number 1 on an orange background that indicates the required mandatory pit stops left to be taken by all drivers in this race. For the mandatory pit stop, you have to change your tyres, and you can see that P1 through P16 have yet to do so. Ian Demler in P19 currently in the pit lane, probably doing so, and Arenz in 33, who we know had to leave and rejoin the race server due to a technical issue with their wheel, or at least we assume based on the lack of steering input when he had his crash. Also yet to do so, but we see there Lataro in the pit lane to take their first stop and perhaps attempt to effect a undercut on both of these cars and gain position on both of them as the QRT car very wide into the first turn. Chris Luke's once again going to be right up on the rear, but no joy into the S's for now. I'm surprised that Chris, you would think that Chris would have been the first car to try and make the attempt at an undercut. But he's going to stick behind the Bentley and maybe try and get ahead of it before the end of this lap. In the pits as well, Robert Jennings in the other Bentley, the P99 Bentley in P15. Goto then, meanwhile, currently chasing down Frederick Sherblin, but goes wide at 100R and is off the track, passed by no cars for position, but it being lapped. You see there, that's Jürgen Oosthuizen coming up to lap him down in up in P7. The no livery racing brackets Keck close brackets team. Traditional green and purple colours that Jürgens likes to run on his said no livery cars. Right. Jürgens then comes in, as does ahead of him Pierre Moreno, Giovannini and Zachary. Don't know why I said it with that sort of emphasis. Chris Luke, meanwhile, has yet to pit, as Wessels does in the Bentley. So Chris actually going for the overcut, if he can make it happen. Or at the very least, just staying out to get some clean air. Maybe thinking that he has the pace. Not trapped behind the two boats that are the Bentley and the Lexus, and perhaps can, no, not Lexus, or BMW, sorry, that was driven by Lautaro, maybe hoping that he can gain track position whilst the other two cars pit. We shall certainly see, and have to see, if that pays off for him. Carl Cook yet to pit, promoted up to P7 for now. Pierre Moreno comes out right ahead of him and stays himself into P6 after pitting. Jürgen Oosthuizen, meanwhile, coming out of the pit lane now, down in P11. It looks like he will get out cleanly and stay there. Two cars ahead of him yet to pit, so he should come out P7 net. At least once those cars ahead come in. It depends then on when the cars ahead of Pierre Moreno. 5 cars leading the race yet to pit. And speaking of which, Martin Kovac has pitted now, as does Stork. Let's see, Robin Moe next on track. Is he going to pit, or is he going to try and go another lap? And he is. Stays out in the Good Smile Racing Lamborghini. Be curious to see whether his little idea here perhaps pays off as well. Don't know what the strategy is going to be. One more lap maybe, or maybe he'll do an old Aaron Rains special. It's not an Aaron Rains special, sorry, an Aaron Fiedlach special, one of the Aarons, and go as long as he can and pit at the very last moment. Chris Luke still also stays out, will be net P2 once the timing tower updates. Certainly in a good opportunity here if he got the fuel and got the ability to put some laps in and gain position over those people that he seemed so stuck behind before. Now that he has a little bit of clean air ahead of him. Gaps are all completely dropped for the time being. Adam Burks here, still to pit, an AM-marked driver, the 85 BMW. Pierre Moreno right behind him. probably going to get him by the end of this lap. We shall have to see. I think maybe even by the end of this mini straight towards the hairpin. Possibly not. Ooh, he looks it. Almost another little bit of contact on the quarter panel. But yeah, still on the exit. Not quite able to maintain position ahead of the BMW. At the same time, Mattia Lautaro, this is going to be a good news for our current P2 as Pierre Moreno gets past Adam Burks. Mattia Lautaro has a drive-through, assumedly, for speeding in the pit lane, considering that was the last thing that we saw him do. And that will certainly play into the hands of Chris Luke, who has one car that he will almost definitely, if he comes into the pit lane himself, almost definitely no longer have to get past after that drive-through is served. Right, Chris Luke into the pit lane. So, his major battle was with, I believe, this man here, Leon Vessels, and Mattia Lautaro, who's sitting currently P18 with a drive-through. Certainly things have changed. We'll make that P18 without a drive-through as he has just served it. We'll have to see. Chris Luke still in the pits. Lautaro way down the order thanks to the penalty he has received. Chris Luke has been given a green marking, therefore is leaving the pit lane now. The 158 car. He has a stop-go 30, assumedly again for speeding in the pit lane. That is an amazing turn of events, which was Chris certainly able to put himself up ahead of this man here, Leon Vessels, to take track position, has got himself a stop-go 30, which will probably, by the time he has served it, put him behind Lautaro, who got the drive-through for speeding in the pit lane also. So that has made Leon Vessels, I'm happy and confident in saying, the overall benefactor from that original freeway fight that was so unchanging only a handful of laps ago. Robin Moe, meanwhile, still yet to pit. Still in P1, Martin Kovac 21 seconds behind him. And with a pit stop being, what, a 30 to 40 second difference. Well, Robin Moe, more than that maybe. Robin Moe is certainly going to drop to the end of the leaders. But the question is, where will he drop to? As Carl Cook now also takes to the pit lane. The second to last driver to have to pit. And this man here, Ivanuk, number 44, Aston, also now has a drive-through. And I'm not sure if that's for pit lane violation or possibly a collection of track limits warnings, as I don't think he has pitted. I don't think I saw a drive-through after he came out of the pit lane, so I might be mistaken on that, though. Anything happening as Chris Luke takes to the pits to serve their stop-go 30. It'll be interesting to see where that puts them out. Now, Pagani, looks like we might finally be getting something of a fight, or we were going to be. Guillaume Pagani is now P16 and was within striking distance of Adam Burks. It looks like he has been caused a little bit of pain by the 100 Bentley that he has had to get past the back marker as Carl Cook there comes out of the pit lane. Chris Luke still in it. Guillaume Pagani is going to have to continue to fight back against the 85 car now that they've gotten past the back marker. But behind him will be, at some point, Kyle Cook, looking to take a position he probably feels is his, being the silver driver currently down in P15. But there will be no blue flags. They're on the same, they're fighting position on the same lap. Kyle Cook is going to have to do with his own merits. That's 0.3 seconds, very quickly closing is that gap. Out of the hairpin, the BMW pulls away very nicely. The Aston Martin, probably its weakest point at this circuit. It does not like the low rev range, and the hairpin is the tightest corner and therefore the lowest revved corner on this track. A little bit twitch on the middle of the spoon there, a little bit on the curb. Can Pagani get a good exit down to 130R, maybe make a move into the Casio triangle? Well, we'll certainly have a look. Yeah, a little bit of a wiggle to the inside, now up to the triangle. He looks to the outside line, not looking to make a move immediately, maybe realizing he's too far back, but the BMW has gone off the track, and that's going to allow him very nicely to make his way through and take the position P13 for Guillaume Pagani. And that is going to be very happy for him, but 9 seconds then down the road to Horman, the leader currently of the AM drivers, if you ignore Zachary, who probably shouldn't be. And actually Horman also probably won't be soon due to his earlier race success, followed by 2 periods of death in the Casio triangle that put him down the order. So I think this is, by the end of the day, by the time all the orders are sorted out, this will be Pagani potentially P1 in AM class. Unless, of course, the race director looks at this and believes maybe it's a sort of midfield or back of pack for P Silver, depending on if Guillaume himself gets bumped up. As I said at the beginning of this race, if you are new to Racing Power's Sprint Series, we do the 3 classes, and the first race often serves. We used to do a pre-season race, but the first race now often serves to be a sort of class-confirming race as well, just to make sure that everyone is in the right position, roughly, as to where they should be. And I think right now Pagani probably, at least from what I have seen, a good driver for AM, and probably will be the net AM leader. Now another drive-through down the order for Nicholas van Galuva, as he actually takes it at the same time as Ivanuk, both in the pit lane. Looks like they raced to get there, but one in P23 and one in P12. A battle then also developing down the order between Paul Glover and Robert Jennings. The 79 Lamborghini versus the 99 Bentley. I need to Aston Martin again, because on race control I just see the wings and I'm like, that's an Aston, because I don't know, I guess I drive the Aston, so I'm just used to seeing it. But it's definitely a Bentley, as the ACC timing tower is a bit clearer on that front. And the gap now 0.7 seconds, but slightly closer gap developing back here, although not for class position. Kyle Cook and Adam Burks, the BMW versus the Porsche. Porsche versus the BMW, whichever way you want to look at it. And you can see there Pagani racing out ahead of them both. Kyle Cook maybe not having made his way up the order as quickly as he would like after his pits, but certainly I think he is a driver who should have this move done in short order, but not having the best of luck and the best of ability out there today. was the right button. Not sure it did much, but Cinch makes a little look down the inside. Maybe going to make a dive into Casio. Thinks perhaps better of it, or just unable to make the move stick. You're going to have to wait at least for the straight. We'll see, can the Porsche do anything on the BMW in that black and red livery that keeps tricking me into thinking it's the GT2 Porsche for some reason. I don't know, it's something about the livery. It just makes it look a little bit like it. But for now, still behind the BMW, and with a drive-through, which I think must have just appeared for track limits whilst I was too focused on the actual action on track. Kyle Cook is going to have to serve, therefore, a drive-through, and his position is going to falter once again. Meanwhile, as I go to look at it, that's commentator curves if ever I've seen it. Paul Glover, 0.3 seconds he was to Robert Jennings, just taken by Hedger Horman. Spins at Degler 2. Now possibly even going to get passed by Pagani. Yes, he does. He has not got the time to get up to speed. You see Carl Cook behind, still fighting with Adam Burks. Paul Glover's going to have to work his way back up after that spin. That has prevented him from taking the position he was fighting for in class with Robert Jennings, 99 Bentley. Just under 15 minutes to go now. 22 laps have been completed. There is a yellow flag up at the exit of the S's, and that's Goto out of the race. Dennis Goto, I believe it was, out of this race. There was a coming together between him and the 951 car of Frederick Shublin. Let's have a look. He loses the car a little bit, and just right into his quarter panel is Frederick Shublin. And that was the contact, and I'm not sure if anything else then happened after that that caused Goto to have to leave the race and DNF. Kyle Cook, meanwhile, 0.1 second, but he has a drive-through still to serve. And he's just holding himself up by fighting like this with a car that doesn't really, I mean, Adam Burks, if I'm Adam Burks right now, I'm thinking to myself, I'm P2 probably. I mean, he maybe doesn't realise Horman's actually not going to be bronze by the end of this race, but he might be thinking to himself, at least I'm P3 by quite a way. I'm happy to just sit here and have a little battle and have a little bit of fun. Kyle Cook is slowing himself down for the inevitable drive-through that he has to serve within the next 2 laps now, and going to come out behind where he could have. He'd already taken the drive-through, as he has been repassed into turn 1, having a little bit of an advantage on the straight. Well, a little bit of advantage out of the Casio triangle, sorry. But the BMW power in the straight has just beaten him to it. Maybe Kyle Cook's also just racing for fun at this point, knowing he has a drive-through, but you'd think the sensible thing would have been to take the pits then and get yourself out of the back end of this BMW. Sadly, for the moment, this is also the closest battle left on track. Everything else having spread out quite a bit. You can see from the track map that there are cars absolutely swarming this track. And sadly, not too many of them within arm's reach of each other for the moment. Except for relative position, which I could have a quick look at. Not sure how accurate this is. It's telling me Adam Burks was oh, I see, it's giving me these relatives. Let's have a look at some of the statistics. Actually, let's have a look at Kyle Cook. Comes into pit lane. Yes, he does. So, despite his unfortunate instance at the beginning of this race being taken out by not one but 2 different cars, the cars of Thomas Jack and Daniel Scott at the Casio Triangle, Hadjo Horman has clawed his way back up to P10, only 5 places behind his starting position of, guess what, P5. Meanwhile, however, the achievement for most gains has to go to this man here, Robin Moe. Not that man there on screen, that is Cookie, that is Jürgen Zishuizen. This one, this Lamborghini of Robin Moe, who has gained at this point with P6 now from a grid position of P23rd, 17 places over the course of this race over the last 50 minutes. So I think some sort of award should be ready for him. Equally, I will just make it clear now that at the end of this race, I am only going to interview the race leader. And that is only for the fact that I cannot tell for certain whether the AM winner is Zachary, Horman or Pagani. Actually shake that. If I can tell, if I can check SimGrid, and SimGrid tells me, I will interview them, and I'll interview Jürgen Zishuizen as well if he continues to lead Silver Class. I do just want to double check and see. Right. Hadjo Horman is definitely on the pro driver list, as is Zachary. So yes, if I can double check him, I'm going to cross-reference this. Guilherme Pagani is, as of yet, unclassified. So in that case, I will interview Adam Burks at the end of this race, as he is definitely... So that's actually curious. So Adam Burks at the moment, as Pagani did not submit their race lap times, I assume, and will therefore be classified at the end of this race, is currently marked as unclassified, pending classification. That's too many times I said classified now. So this person here, Adam Burks, is technically currently leading the actual AM class. And I think that is a fair assessment, considering where Horman and Pagani both have sat in this race. Pagani, I think, will be a firm silver. The case could perhaps be made for Burks, but I think events have unfolded on even Cook and Demler, all of whom are silver as well. Yes, I will interview at the end of this race Adam Burks if he continues to win against Ronda, who is currently 2 places behind. I think a little bit further away on the track, currently just rounding out the hairpin exit 100R. So not too far, but a little bit further down the order. And so if things stay as they will for the next 7.5 odd minutes, I want to have a look and see Jürgen Zishuizen, because he seems to have just kept himself out of trouble, and that seems to be how this driver has managed to get themselves into a P1 position in the silver class. And so it seems I can't really tell you what they've actually done in this race other than just keep it clean. Currently P7. Should note, because we have moved to SimGrid, as you may have seen on the rolling ticker at the bottom of the screen. Or at least it should be a rolling ticker. Yes, it is. There we go. Rolled. As I was watching it on my other monitor to see if it is definitely rolling. As you can see, we have moved to SimGrid from Race App for this series. And due to that, we can also have a much easier way to do it, at least, an overall championship in which, at the moment, Jürgen Zishuizen looking to be P7, which will put him a little bit ahead of the other pro drivers, some of whom have retired from this race, one of whom is still in this race in P17, that being Matteo Lautaro after his drive-through. I want to have a look. I'm trying to have a look to see where Chris Luke is. I think Chris Luke has DNF'd after his 1 minute stock go 30. I think he has not finished this race. Kyle Cook, meanwhile, Silver Driver now gaining on the back of Ronda in the Lexus. 1.4 seconds currently between them. It's looking to be the next fight, next major fight at least, developed on this track. Like I say, with the overall championship, there will always be at least some sort of fight between two cars of different classes. Sorry. So Zachary and Norman, like I say, are both pro drivers. I believe what happened is they signed up or put their, well, I think actually they put their lap times in later than scheduled, which meant that effectively, whilst they have been categorized in SimGrid, I don't think there was enough time to update the server before it went live, and so they are still marked as bronze, as they are in this server at least classified as unclassified, which is as much of a contradiction in naming as no name at Spa. But they will probably both be filtered into Pro. Sorry, they have both been filtered into Pro and will be updated for the next race. 0.2 seconds now, Kyle Cook, but Kyle Cook behind him, that's Pierre Moreno in P2. Currently sitting there with the fastest lap. It looks like Lexus gets out of the way. Kyle Cook takes it, but Pierre Moreno was probably the person who was getting out of the way of. And Kyle Cook maybe going to give the blue flag car a bit of consideration, maybe not. So as long as he doesn't defend, the rules are GT racing rules, so he can, you know, keep to his lines, keep racing his race. But he cannot defend or block. And there goes Pierre Moreno through on the Porsche. Let's have a look then at Adam Burks. We've seen a few little incidents with him, a few moments, a few fights, nothing too major again. But he is our current net AM leader, if we ignore that other drivers are either platinum or uncategorized at the moment. This is why I think ACC should let us use the black number board option that is for some reason available to bots in single player. It'd be nice to have that be a marker of who's unclassified. But we have worked it out, and Adam Burks, a driver who I cannot remember the specifics of what I've seen of him, but I've at least seen him a little bit, is going to, at the moment, take home the bronze lead, sitting P13 overall. Not too bad for the overall classification either. All four of the higher class cars behind him have had issues, so I think there's no worry about him being too quick for bronze at the moment, although certainly he has been consistent in this race. This is one of those races where it's a bit disappointing that all the race leaders have been the ones that have been very much speeding away or avoiding other incidents. Kovac has led the race from the off masterfully. The only time he was not in the race lead was after he had pitted. And so effectively has been the leader the entire time. KVX Racing in a minute and a half shall likely, unless Trevor has something he wants to say about it, come home to take the first race win of the current season and to continue the dominant performance he showed in Season 10. this time, maybe not as easy as he might have. Not as easily, well, maybe not as easily, but maybe this time he'll have a little bit more of a fight if the other drivers who have had issues today, such as Hajo, Horman, and Zachary and Giovannini, as well as, of course, Pierre Moreno and others, can perhaps put the irons to the fire a little bit more and take him on starting at Spa. But for now at Suzuka, this will be his final lap, and barring any major incident, we shall return to him once he has won the race. Garni, meanwhile, the 444 car, the unclassified driver at the moment. Curious to see where he'll end up. I'm thinking probably a solid silver. We can have a look perhaps at his best on lap. It's been a 2:00.8, which is actually on the higher end of the silvers, but 0.2 slower than this person here, Jürgen Zusshuizen, who is about to cross the line for the second to last time as the race timer marks 0. But with Kovac at the hairpin, all cars ahead of him, which is still quite a few, will have one more lap to complete before the race is finished. Just having a look at the lap times just to see where perhaps drivers might be put. Probably not a case to be made for Jürgen Zusshuizen to be moved up to Pro, as the Pro drivers are generally either the very, very low 2-minute flats. Certainly Stork seems to be the slowest, or second slowest of the Pro drivers. Lautaro has only managed a 2:00.9, so maybe Lautaro will move to silver, but Stork, the second slowest of the current Platinum drivers, with a 2:00.2. Zachary a 2:00.012, and every other driver in the 159s in the Pro class. But your race winner, therefore, has been Martin Kovac in the 861 Lexus. The Hungarian driver takes the first race win of the season. Pierre Moreno comes not too far behind to take P2. Meanwhile, let's have a look. Where is Adam Burks? Adam Burks is at the S's, so he will finish after this man here. Jürgen Zusshuizen, who gets past, that looks like Van Galuva in the McLaren, a very damaged, dented front end on that McLaren. And P12, number 12 car will take P7 in this race, coming through 130R. Only a set of 3 odd corners left to go, and he shall take the race win, most likely for silver. Robin Moe crosses the line, take cement P6. And that is the final corner, and Jürgen Zusshuizen takes P1 in silver, the first race of RP Series Season 11. And Adam Burks, meanwhile, comes up to 130R. Paul Glover ahead of him in the silver class, but does not look like he will have any major incident. Will come home nicely. He crosses the line to take P13 overall, and the currently official P1 in AM class, until the arrangements get sorted. I will call in our drivers. I will call in our race winners in each class to come for a quick interview for the end of the race. And I believe there are 2 tickets currently in the instant log, and possibly one more coming in from Gareth Ronda. So, whilst we'll do the interview, things will still obviously be subject to change, depending on any penalties that perhaps need to be given to each driver. We hope Kovac doesn't leave. I like to use a car to then base this on. And we wait now. We warm down, take a drink of water after all that shouting. And Kovac is in the interview waiting room. I shall bring him in momentarily. Congratulations, Martin. First race, first win, season 11. Didn't see much of you, as people behind you seem to get into a little bit of a mess. How was that for you?
Definitely hard. The first few laps were a bit hard because the Lexus wasn't good on the cold tires, so Pierre was actually squeezing me so hard, so I was sweating quite a bit.
I did see his boy. He only finished about 7 odd seconds behind you, which sounds like a lot, but obviously over the course of 60 minutes, not too far behind with a pit stop. Were you worried that he was going to catch you before the end at any point, maybe, if you slipped up a little bit?
Yes, actually, when I was in the pits and I was doing my my mandatory stop, I was actually worried that he would get me on the exit, but thankfully the gap just stayed the same.
Were there any worries and troubles with you coming out of the pits? Because I noticed that quite a few cars decided to go a little bit longer, Robin Moe included, Chris Luke. Were you worried perhaps that you're going to get caught up by them?
Not really. I was more worried for my tires because the Lexus just eats the front, and yeah, just worried for myself.
Fair enough. Well, I won't keep you too long. Just a quick thing. 2 weeks out in Spa. Any particular things you're thinking are going to be challenging you from this race? Any particular drivers you're going to have to watch out for? I know that Hajo Horman looked pretty quick before he got double murdered in 2 laps at the Casio Triangle.
Yeah, I mean, there are quite a few new people who are fast, and the old guys as well, like Pierre, and then Robin is gonna be fast as well on Spa. So
Hey,
yeah.
You were in the voice chat. Is there any reason why Robin started so far down the order?
He had some connectivity issues, I think.
Fair enough. Oh yeah, sleepy modem strikes again, is what you're saying.
Yes.
How did your pedals hold up? Are you using the different ones?
No, I was still using the same Trustmaster ones, but with 20 minutes remaining, I was praying to the gods to
Not have a
not go
repeat
to
of your
sleep.
famous
Yes.
sudden braking.
Yes.
Right, well, congratulations again for winning round 1, and see you next race at Spa for round 2, where maybe you can repeat your recent show of dominance.
We'll see. We'll see.
Cheers, Kovac.
Bye.
Right, that was the Platinum winner and race winner, Martin Kovac. Now, as Jürgen Ziswolden is not in the interview waiting room, I will bring in Adam Burks. Congratulations, Adam.
Hello. Thank you.
I don't know if you're confused as to why you're here.
I was a little bit because I saw there was another red badge car in front of me that I know isn't in the wrong class, but then I've just glanced at the sim grid and seen it's one of the unclassified drivers. So
yes,
I think I may have come top of the bronze class then.
I had to do a check mid race because I knew that 2 of the drivers were meant to be pro, and I just had to check: is Pagani unclassified? Yes, he is. So you are currently, until any reclassification, but I don't think there's going to be anything major happens, the race winner in the AM class. Much like the other two race winners in classes, I think you mainly won partially because you survived quite nicely and didn't get into too many
Yeah.
incidents. Is there any?
Yeah.
mm?
Sorry, I was saying, yeah, it was just a nice clean race for me. It was pretty chill.
Fair enough. Was there anything particularly troubling you in that race? Any run us through it quickly. How was the whole thing?
No, I mean, yeah, the race for me went okay. To be honest, the start was a little bit of survival mode, just dodging some cars that were off the track and making sure I didn't get sent into oblivion. And then after that, it just settled into a rhythm, to be honest, and kind of just drove my laps. I never really came under much pressure, and unfortunately wasn't fast enough to put pressure on anybody in front of me. So yeah, it was a pretty calm, relaxing race. The only bit I struggled with was tyre warm up at the start for some reason. Struggled to get the temperatures into the tyres, but once they were there, it felt fine.
Well, that's good to hear. Do you have any trouble with any of the former front marker cars who found themselves towards the back over the course of the race?
No, to be honest, I think most of them ended up coming back past me via the pit stops. It just seemed that we all switched out as we did our different pit windows. I had a silver car behind me for a little while, but fortunately he picked up a drive-through, so he disappeared back behind me. And then, yeah, the gap was again really sort of large back behind. It was kind of a little bit driving in. It felt like a bit of a bubble this evening at times. Just the cars in front were a bit too quicker, and I seemed to be pulling away from Ronda behind me at the start, who was in my class, sort of thing. So I ended up in a nice little safety net. It felt like.
I think Ronda as well. Things stay the same. It looks to be quite a good AM driver at the moment. Probably going to put a little bit of pressure on you. Had a few unfortunate incidents in this race.
Yeah. So he ended up getting taken out, I think, around Degner way at one point. Yeah, I sort of noticed that sort of in the rear view mirror, but which again just increased the sort of nice space I ended up into. Like every race to go like that. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It was a good one, yeah.
Well, 2 weeks away at Spa, and I ask this question to everyone every time. Anything you're particularly worried about in the BMW? Anything you're looking forward to? Anyone you think is going to be particularly challenging you there?
Again, just looking forward to a nice race. I think Ronda behind sort of had the similar pace to me at the beginning of this race. He was there for the first few laps, so with him and I think Sjolblom as well, when it looked at qualifying, was around similar pace to me, so I'm hoping for a nice battle with them. Spa itself as a track, I've done many laps. I think like everybody in sim racing around that track, we all kind of love it. There's always the slight bit of trepidation when you head up Eau Rouge and Radion for the first couple of times, but to be honest, I find the BMWs quite nice and easy around there. And then hopefully nothing too troubling. I know I say that, I'll probably curse myself now and end up in the wall on lap one, but hopefully a nice, interesting battle and a clean race.
Well, let's hope so, and I shall see you there on track myself, as I'm only temporarily commentating, and looking forward to it. So, good luck to you for next race, and thank you and congratulations again.
Thanks very much. Cheers. Thank you. Goodbye.
Cheers. That was your current AM winner. That's Adam Burke. So I've just sent a quick message to Jürgen Zuschleus and see if he wants to come in. And yes, he is. There he comes. He has left the server though, so we'll have to see if anyone else leaves and lose our point of views. Right. Oh, he brought himself into the channel because he's a naughty admin abusing Jürgen Zuschleus, your silver winner.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh.
Brought yourself
How
into
are
my
you?
little room here, did you?
Well, I was waiting in the interview waiting room.
It's
I was
a nice
getting all
waiting
lonely
room.
there.
We put plants in there.
I know, the elevator music goes hard.
Right. Congratulations on your silver. Like the other two class winners, you kind of had a clean race that didn't have much incident, so run us through it quickly as we didn't actually see too much of it.
Oh, of the race. Okay. Quick speed run through. Turn one, minor kerfuffle. I let Tom back onto the track because I didn't want to die with him snapping in front of me. Then I had a fun fight with, I'm not going to attempt to say his name, so I don't want to get it wrong, the 44 Aston. That was quite an enjoyable fight. And then I kind of just tried to manage the gap before royally screwing up my pit stop and having to reverse back into my box, which is pretty much tradition for me at this point. and then just kind of driving the end of the race, praying that I wouldn't lose the car somewhere because the Lambo here is terrifying.
Well, luckily you were using, I assume, sequential and not your not your famously lacking a reverse gearbox.
Oh no, yeah, it's sequential, so that was fine. It was more just the fact that I'd shot through the box, turned the engine off because I was expecting to get picked up, and then I had to press the starter, turn the engine on, go into reverse, and it was just a bit of a kerfuffle.
Well, that's fair. How was the Lamborghini around Suzuka? I saw quite a few people I wasn't expecting to drive a Lamborghini driving it.
We had a bit of a moan fest in practice, if I'm being honest. I drove it with a in quotes CDA setup from Kovac, which turned out to have just been the aggressive setup because it hadn't saved properly when he went to save the setup. And I was like, oh, the car feels great. Then he gave me the actual CDA setup, and the thing is driving entirely on the front axle. It just oversteers everywhere, which took a while to get a handle on it in practice. But once you could guess where it was going to snap, it was quite fun. It was just very stressful. Like I couldn't let up and relax. I had to stay on it the whole time.
Well, that certainly paid off. But
yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just going to ask how the race was to watch from your perspective.
It was chaotic. There was a lot going on, especially in that first lap. I feel very bad for the QRT driver, Hadjo Horman, who got murdered at the Casio Triangle on 2 different laps by 2 different drivers.
Yeah, we watched the first one of those back. I think the first one was with the Merc.
Thomas Jack.
Yeah. It was just unlucky. Broke too late. He tried to dodge him, just clipped him. But yeah, you got a feel for him if he's that far up the order to end up, I don't know where he was, what, 20th or something?
Well, he ended up in about P20, but then climbed his way back up to about P10, P9, so still in it. Still a good fight to be had with him, I'm sure. At least for the pro drivers. But obviously you're a silver, so you don't benefit from that.
I would, which this is not just me being biased and trying to defend being in silver, but I'd say the pace was silver appropriate. I couldn't catch the platinum guys despite really, really trying, and then the 44 and the 83 were around similar pace during the race.
I can back that up with the evidence of best lap times. There's maybe one platinum driver that should be moved down to silver, but the best lap times, I think all the platinums bar one were sub 2:05. Your best lap time was a 2:06.
Yeah.
So I think your spot is safe, much to my chagrin, as a silver driver. But next week, Spa, other than me obviously beating you, are you looking forward to it?
We shall see. Hopefully the Lambo doesn't drive there like it does here. Otherwise, I am dying a Radeon lots and lots of times. So fingers crossed, it'll be good. I've heard Daniel is swapping cars already.
Well,
he did not like the Lamborghini, so he will be joining you in the Aston because he wants to drive in equal machinery.
Oh, he can drive the Wins livery then, given I'm driving a different one, which I'm looking forward to seeing Husky and Jack have to say the name of on stream. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone.
Do you have any more interviewees waiting?
I have no interviewees. You're the last interviewee.
Ah, okay. That's because I was late. Apologies.
Yes, you are.
Well, I will leave you to close up. Thank you very much for streaming.
All right, cheers, Cookie, and congratulations again, as
Thank
much
you.
as I hate it as a silver driver.
Bye.
See ya. Right, that was your silver race winner, silver class winner, Jürgens Oosthuizen, aka Cookie. And that is, I guess, the end of our race stream as Guilherme Pagani, I think it's Guilherme Pagani is still on the server. I'm probably watching the replay, but that provides me with a great little actual spot to be able to continue the view and not get CPU warnings that always come up for some reason with no cars on the server. But 2 weeks' time, there shall be another stream here on the Racing Pals YouTube channel. It will be hosted by, I believe, that Husky and Jack Hudson, our other commentators, doing a duo commentary for the rest of this season. And that shall be on the date, which escapes me, the 12th of May, Sunday the 12th of May, same time, same place, at Spa-Francorchamps, though, for the race itself. So join us then if you have watched this stream and would like to sign up yourselves. There's still some spots available. You can find it by going to our SimGrid page, the links to which can be found on our Discord, for which there is a link in the description below. Until then, let's have a look. What have we got promotion-wise? We have a few things. So, first off, Praga Pals 2024. Last year, during the interim of, I believe, our Formula Pals Assetto Corsa regular series and our first season of the Project Meteorite beta test, both of which series you can go and find and rewatch the live streams of on this channel if you want to see what those were. We ran a short series called Praga Pals 2023. We're now running a second one before we get the full season of Project A underway, once that comes up later in the year, hopefully. We're running Praga Pals 2024, so if you want to come join us again, details on our Discord, just get yourselves the Assetto Corsa roll. We are going to Spa, Fuji, Watkins Glen and Mugello every other week, starting next weekend in between RP Series races. This will be the Praga R1 in regular old Assetto Corsa. You can sign up, you can submit a livery with me if you would like, and come and join us for some chill little 45-minute races in the Praga, as well as a season finale of 2 25-minute races at Mugello with the regular race points for each of those. So effectively 5 races over 4 rounds. Like I say, sign up on our Discord through our SimGrid and come and join us. We'll also actually be doing, for the first time in a mini-series, stewarding for this, which will be done in the same format as we're probably going to have to do some stewarding after this race today. Then next, Racing Pals Endurance. I don't have as nice a picture to show you, but Racing Pals Endurance coming up on the 25th, I believe. Let me double check, of May. Yes, it is 25th of May. Racing Pals Endurance. We are going to Indianapolis for 4 hours of Indy racing, well, GT3 and GT4 racing before the Indy 500 on the 26th of May. Come and join us again. Details on our Discord. Get the Assetto Corsa Competizione and the RP Endurance roll, and sign up on our SimGrid page. And even if you don't, that will be streamed live here, as well as be live stewarded here on the day itself. We've got quite a few little things to promote. And Pacing Pals Season 2. This is our iRacing truck series. Pacing Pals Season 2. Let me activate the calendar. Yes! It probably looks really weird, but there it is. We are running a 12-race NASCAR A-Class Cup Series League on iRacing, starting with Daytona next Saturday, May 4th. This will run every weekend with only 3 weekends, 3 Saturdays, where we shall be hosting our endurance races instead. But aside from them, it will be every weekend at the following tracks and circuits, all but one of which are ovals. So whether you're new to oval racing or whether you're experienced, come and join us for some good oval racing action in iRacing. So until then, the only thing left to do is to thank our Patreon members, sponsors and partners. And you can help to support us to continue to pay to run these races and host these servers through the Patreon. There is a link in the description below. And again, join us on the Racing Pals Discord to check out all of our events going on. The only one I haven't actually done a proper promotion for, because it's an ongoing thing, is our Rally Pals. If you enjoyed Dirt Rally, there's also a rally series run weekly on a rotating basis, as the way Dirt Rally works on Dirt Rally 2.0. So you can come join, and we enjoy very much watching each other crash cars and then let everyone else watch us crash cars as well. But I think that's everything. We've got quite a lot coming up, and it's very much all to be looked forward to. But until next time, when I won't actually be speaking to you, it'll be someone else. But until next time I commentate, whenever that will be, thank you all for watching, and good night.